Hello, my name is Kristen. These are 15 to 20 minutes of great stretches for ways that you can prevent sciatica, help sciatica, open up your IT band, open up the hamstrings, the glutes, the hip flexors, and really basically deconstruct all of the flexion that we do all day while we are seated at desks, computers, in our homes, workspaces, whatever that may look like for you. This is also great if you are somebody who cycles a lot, runs a lot, and you just have really tight lower body muscles. So let's get started. We're going to start off in the seated position, just really grounding into the space first for a second. Just letting the eyelids close gently, letting the hands rest on the knees, relaxing all the muscles of the face. Making sure those shoulders are far away from the ears. Really grounding down through the sit bones, sending energy down through the sit bones. As you reach the crown of the head up, creating length in the back of the neck and the spine. Take a big breath in through the nose. Let it all out the mouth. Big breath in here. Sigh it all out. And then starting to change our breath now, we'll come to our Ujjayi breathing. This is going to be especially helpful during this class. We'll be inhaling and exhaling through the nose. So that means with our mouths closed. And you just want to put a gentle constriction against the back of the throat to create an ocean-like or wave-like sound. So you should be able to hear me here, and this should help you out. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the nose. It shouldn't feel, like labored breathing. It requires minimal effort. And we really want to focus on this Ujjayi breath, especially for a class like this where we're opening up the lower body, because a lot of our emotions get stored in our hips, in the pelvic region. Especially if you're a female, there's so much womb healing that needs to be done in today's times. So really focusing on carrying that Ujjayi breath with you during the rest of class, in moments where you feel uncomfortable, in moments where you feel a lot of pressure or deep release happening, come back to the breath. And I'll remind you of this too, but I just wanted to preface with that. So we'll go ahead and start off on all fours in a tabletop position. And just start taking a couple of rounds of cat-cow at your own pace as you inhale, tops of the toes, tucking the toes, reaching the crown of the head forward. And as you exhale, tops of the toes are on the mat, pulling the belly in, doming out the spine. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Taking a few rounds at your own pace, incorporating any movements that feel good in your body today. Maybe shifting the weight from side to side in the hips. Maybe turning the fingers outwards or flipping them all the way around, stretching out the wrists and the forearms. Just tuning into your body and taking a moment to connect and see, where does my body feel tight? Where have I accumulated tension from my activities of daily living? And then once you've come back to a neutral spine, tuck the toes, send the hips up and back, coming into our first downward dog. Start to pedal out the feet. Start shifting the weight from side to side in the hips. As you spread the fingers nice and wide, pads of the fingers are pressing into the mat. Taking that weight out of the wrists and into the palms of the hands. Making sure you pull those shoulders away from your ears. try to bring the shoulder blades as far down onto the back as you can. That'll help you keep those shoulders down. And then every exhale, you're trying to pull the chest closer to the thighs. And take nice, long, slow, generous bends in one knee as you extend the other leg. Really starting to warm up the backs of the calves, the backs of the lower hamstring. As you inhale, that right leg is going to come all the way up, pointing and flexing the toes, rolling out the ankle, still making sure that left heel's reaching for the mat. And then start to do a couple of hip opening rolls, bending from the knee, rolling out the hip, lubricating that hip socket. And then re-extending that leg, step that foot all the way forward, coming into a low lunge. Drop the back knee, place the top of that left foot on the mat, and make sure that your knee and ankle of that front leg are aligned in a 90-degree angle. And as you inhale, reach those arms up, drop the shoulders, and drive that front knee forward. So you want to push that knee forward and basically try to pull the top of that left leg closer to the mat. You should be feeling this opening up all of that left quadricep. Breathe here. Every exhale, seeing if you can drive that front knee a little bit forward. If you need to adjust the leg so the knee doesn't go over the ankle, please do that. Make sure those shoulders are relaxed and away from the ears. You can interlace the fingers and cross the focusing on opening up the shoulders while you open up that left front quadricep. On your next exhale, slowly release those hands onto the mat, keeping the weight of that front leg shifted into your back hip. You want to keep that back knee and hip in a straight line as you extend that right leg out in front of you. Place a nice generous bend in that front knee. You always want to have the knee a little bit bent. Hyperextension on the joints is never good. The toes of that front foot, you want them to be pointing straight up towards your face or the ceiling. And then every exhale, try to walk your hands forward and see if you can bring your head closer to your shin. This is half split. And again, making sure you're keeping that knee and hip in a straight line, making sure that you're not just collapsing onto the left side of the hip. So shifting that weight evenly back into the right, and you should feel that activating the back of your hamstring and the back of the knee. Every exhale, seeing if you can create more length in the spine here. Maybe turning the toes inward or outward, noticing how that changes the stretch. Turning the toes inward towards the left side usually starts to activate the outside of the lower right leg, while turning the toes outward seems to get a little bit closer into the medial part or the inner part of the hamstring. So just noticing which part of the hamstring needs a little bit more love this morning or whatever time of day you're doing this, and breathing into it. As you inhale, slide that front foot closer towards you, coming back into that low lunge that we started in. Keep that left hand on the mat. You're going to reach that right arm behind you, up and around, and see if you can grab onto the back of your left toes. If you can't reach the toes, just focus on trying to lift up the foot as close as you can. If you really want to grab onto something, you can take a towel and wrap it around the foot. And you really want to focus on opening up the chest towards the ceiling or the wall that's closest to you on your right side. You want to turn that chest upwards and to the right as you try to lower the weight down, really opening up that left quadricep. If you've got a hold of the foot, slowly and with control, release the foot. Use your core and your leg muscles to slowly bring that foot back down onto the mat. Bring that right arm to the front. Come back into that low lunge. Tuck the toes of the back foot. And you're just going to step back into a plank and send the hips up and back into downward dog. Just pedaling out the feet, noticing the asymmetry that we've created. As you inhale, now that left leg comes up, pointing and flexing through the toes, rolling out the ankle, making sure you get both sides. That right heel is still reaching for the ground. And then bending the knee, taking a couple of hip rolls in either direction, lubricating that hip joint. Re-extend the leg, and as you exhale, step that foot forward between the hands, dropping that back knee, placing the top of the foot on the mat, coming into that low lunge here. As you exhale, driving that left knee forward, focusing on the breath here, making sure you're pulling that right thigh closer to the ground, feeling that stretch on the front of the right leg or thigh, the right quadricep. And then inhale, reach the arms up, relax the shoulders, and pull the arms back, almost creating a gentle back bend here. You want that energy to come up and back instead of just collapsing into the low back. If you took Kali Mudra, you can take it here, interlacing the fingers, keeping the index fingers extended, the thumbs crossed over each other, pulling the arms back as you drive that front knee forward. Exhale, gently lowering the hands down. Shift the weight onto the back leg, lining up that back knee and hip. The left leg becomes extended in front of you. Nice generous bend in that left knee. The toes are pointing straight up towards the sky or pulled closer to your face. Every exhale, you're walking the hands further away from you, trying to create length in the spine, and you're trying to bring your head closer to your shin. Again, making sure you haven't shifted the weight onto the right side of your hip and collapsed there because your body is avoiding this stretch. You want to pull the hips back in alignment, making sure that left and right hip are both facing forward with equal weight distributed. And you should be feeling this on the back of the hamstring, the back of the knee, maybe even the calf. Feel free to play around with the positioning of the toes, turning the toes inward or outward, seeing how that changes the stretch. If you have blocks at home and you need them, this is a great place to put blocks underneath each hand to help you create length in the spine. As you inhale, shift that weight forward, keeping that right arm down. Circle that left arm up and around towards the back, and go ahead and grab onto that right foot, bringing those toes closer towards you. And again, really opening up the chest towards the left wall, the left ceiling, whatever you've got on the left side. You almost want to imagine that you're going to leave your Superwoman or Superman chest print on the solid surface that's closest to you. So really seeing if every exhale you can turn that chest more open as you shift that weight closer to the floor, opening up that right quadricep. Exhale, if you're holding onto the foot, slowly release it. Bringing that left arm back down. Tuck the toes of the back foot, stepping back into a plank. Send the hips up and back, coming into downward facing dog, pedaling out the feet, noticing how much space we've created there. And then inhale that right leg up, step that foot all the way forward, and step the back foot about halfway forward on the mat. You should be in pyramid pose. So same thing, if you have blocks, this is a great place to put them. If you don't need the blocks, you're keeping the hands on both sides of the feet. You're trying to create length in your spine. You want to release the tension from the back of the head, let the head hang heavy. And then you want to focus on pushing that left hip back as you pull the right hip forward. Every exhale, seeing if you can get a little bit closer to your shin with your forehead. Again, really opening up the backs of the calves here, the backs of the hamstrings. And then taking that left hand, you're going to place that right under your face. For some people, they prefer to put it on the outside of that right foot. Whatever is comfortable for you, we're coming into revolved triangle here. So you're going to peel that right arm up as you turn the right side of the body towards the right wall. You want energy through the fingertips, and you want to push that right hip back as you pull the left hip forward. Every exhale coming a little bit deeper into the twist, really feeling this on the outside of your right thigh, your IT band. Breathing into this large band of fascia that we have. Maybe challenging your core, seeing if you can take the stretch onto the fingertips, making the core activate and our lower abs engage. Maybe taking the gaze up to the top thumb if that's available to you. Exhale, slowly lower that hand down. And you're simply going to step that left foot forward and come into a forward fold. Let everything hang super heavy. And just alternate, bending one knee as you straighten the other leg, seeing how that feels, noticing the difference from one leg to the other. Let the head hang super heavy. Grab onto opposite elbows or the backs of the calves. Take a big breath in through the nose and flutter it out the lips. Big breath in here. Let it all out the mouth. Coming into pyramid pose on the left side, step that left foot halfway back. Sorry, we actually just did this side. Coming into pyramid pose on the left side, step that right foot halfway back. So your left foot should be in front, your right foot should be about halfway back on the mat. And you want to have a small bend in the knees as always. You don't really want hyperextension. If you have the blocks, you're placing them under your hand. If you don't have blocks, you're focusing on pushing that left hip back as you pull that right hip forward. Really breathing into the back of the hamstring, the back of the calf, and seeing if you can lengthen out the spine every time you exhale and bring your head closer to your shin. Releasing the pressure from the back of the neck, letting the head hang super heavy. And then taking that right hand, placing it in the center of the mat or on the outside of the left foot, whatever is comfortable for you. Peel that left arm up, coming into revolved triangle. And again here, focusing on pushing that left hip back as you pull the right hip forward. Energy through those fingertips, maybe coming onto the fingertips of your right hand, activating the core. Maybe taking the gaze up to that top arm if that's available to you. Really continuing with that Ujjayi breath. Focusing on the exhales here as you listen to the narrative that you're telling yourself. Is the narrative, wow, I really need to do this more often. This hurts so good. Or is the narrative, oh my God, this is terrible. I can't do this. How much longer are we going to be here? Why is this so hard? I'm so inflexible. So really changing that narrative, focusing on everything that your body is doing for you right now, breathing, knowing that you are actively working on getting better at this, shifting that perspective. As you exhale, gently lower that hand down and simply step that right foot forward, shaking out the legs. Noticing how the outsides of the legs feel, the glutes, the calves, and the hamstrings. And then you're just going to slowly lower down, coming all the way into a seated position on the mat. And we're going to come into Agni Stambhasana, or fire log pose. This is one of my favorites. You're going to cross your shins on top of each other, so you can start with whichever foot you want first. You want to get the shins as close to parallel as possible. If there's a gap between your knee and your foot, that's okay. You want to flex the toes of both feet so that they're both pointing towards each other. And then you're going to sit up nice and tall, and all you have to do is slowly start to fold forward. And you should start to feel this really deeply on the outside of your glute or your hip flexor of whichever leg is on top. So same thing here, you're activating that Ujjayi breath and you're seeing how far you can come down with length through the spine. And seeing if every exhale you can fold yourself a little bit closer to the legs. If you have a block, placing a block under the forehead here is great to just really allow the neck, the back of the neck to relax. And just breathe. I love this pose because it's a great alternative for pigeon. A lot of people aren't really sure if they're doing pigeon right. They have some discomfort in the knee. If they're a little bit heavier, it's hard to get them to line up the hips without the interference of the belly. And so this is a great alternative that is a lot more accessible for people. And it's something really easy that you can do at home. Very low injury profile. So I highly recommend this pose if you teach yoga or if you yourself are just working on opening up the hips. On your next exhale here, slowly start to walk the hands back up towards you, gently coming back up into that seat. You can extend the legs out in front of you if that feels good, just moving however feels good for your body. And then we're going to take the same thing on the other side. So just switching the leg orientation, whichever leg was on top should now be on the bottom. Flex the toes of both of your feet so that they're pointing towards each other. Try to get the shins as close to parallel as you can, almost like two fire logs, hence the name of the pose. And then you're just going to place the hands in front of you, lengthen your spine, and slowly start to walk your hands out. An analogy I like to use here is it's almost like you're looking over a cliff. And so you're already at the edge of the cliff and you want to just keep looking as far as you can, creating length through the spine. And then once you can't see anything anymore, you're tired of looking over, then fold over, release the head, release the tension from the back of the neck. Let everything hang heavy, and then round the spine. Again, if you have a block or something that you can prop underneath the forehead, that would be amazing here. Just truly letting your neck muscles relax since they're always so active. If not, just breathing here. Every exhale, seeing if you can fold a little bit deeper, making sure those toes of the feet are flexed still. Breathing into that outer glute and that hip flexor. Making sure you haven't transferred that tension to the jaw, to the face. Everything is still nice and relaxed. Using the exhales to really release any tension that's being stored in these areas. Slowly crawling up, taking your time. Maybe extending the legs out in front of you, shaking out the legs, whatever feels good for you. And then just coming into an easy seat, a comfortable seated position. Relaxing the shoulders, gently letting the eyes close. Letting the hands rest on the knees, palms facing up or down, your choice. And just take a moment to notice. See if you can direct your attention to the left or the right outer glute region. How does it feel? Can you feel the release? Can you feel the pulsation of your blood circulating as it reaches these muscles? How does the mind feel? Taking a moment of gratitude for everything that your body was just able to do for you. Bringing the hands into the heart space as you take a moment of gratitude for yourself, for showing up today, for taking this time out of your day for your body. May you have a wonderful rest of your day or night. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Namaste. Till next time.